Thank you, Martin, and hello everyone from beautiful Sydney, Australia. I'm John McLennan, Director of MCA Architects. It's been a great privilege to work with Martin and the entire team at UNSW Library and the estate management team to develop, over the past several months, a design that supports a new way of working for the library staff. It's been a rewarding and challenging experience to synthesize a spatial arrangement and aesthetic outcome along with the library staff at UNSW. And the staff have really taken to the process and the engagement and the consultation. We're almost ready for the documentation package to be released to various contractors and builders for pricing. So it's a very exciting time, looking to start construction in 2026. We've sought to engage the library staff at all levels, from the executive and directors right through to the team members themselves. We've sought their input and their feedback during this design process. That consultation is really important, and I believe we've all learned a lot along this journey. For the library, like many departments and organisations, this is a once in a 10, 20-year process of consolidation, relocation, adopting a new workplace arrangement, and upgrading of amenity and refresh. So the libraries look to us as architects for leadership, precedents, ideas, and vision. For us as architects, we've learned a great deal from the library staff about how they work, their workflows, what they want to translate into the new workplace environment, things that they'd like to replicate, but also opportunities for improvement, things they'd like to change. This is the library staff's day-to-day, and they know their business better than I do. I've worked on hundreds of education and workplace premises over the years, but every client and every project is different and new. And I say this with all sincerity, the library staff have demonstrated great creativity and presented ideas and strategies that we as an architectural practice have adopted with great enthusiasm. That's the unique opportunity about the design process. It's a shared experience. It's a road we walk together. And as an architect, I don't work day to day in a library space, but you do. So the opportunity is available to you when engaging in the spatial redesign or relocation or a change management process with an architect to share how you work and what could change. Now, focusing our attention on the strategy and design for UNSW Library at Sydney, the staff facilities there, I want to focus on 5 key principles, and I know some of these Martin's touched on, but I want to focus on 5 key principles that we've developed with UNSW's library and UNSW estate management that's been utilised for the new staff facilities. So, principle number 1, zoning and hierarchy. Firstly, there's a wide range of facilities required for staff. It's not simply a work desk. So additional to the work point or the work desk, we need bookable meeting rooms that are visitor friendly as well as staff friendly near the main entry. Breakouts and social spaces such as the kitchen. Third, collaborative zones for informal and agile brainstorming. You don't necessarily need a formal meeting room. Fourth, quiet rooms for teleconferencing and private conversations, 2 to 3 person rooms. Fifth, support spaces such as storage, utilities, processing rooms, personal storage, things that you can't do at your desk. So as you can see on the screen, these zones ought to be arranged in a manner that reflects their noise profile and the level of activity and busyness that's anticipated. So busy and noisy spaces ought to be located closer to the entry and away from individual work points in quiet rooms. You don't want to have a busy kitchen right next to someone's desk. So separating and dividing those spaces and creating those zones creates a front of house zone and a back of house zone, an area for social and collaboration, and other areas that you can retreat for focused work. That's principle number 1, zoning. Principle number 2, neighbourhoods. Grand open plans with 40, 50 work desks really is not conducive to a work environment. Furthermore, whilst a department might be 100 strong, it's typically made up of multiple teams, and not all those teams are compatible or need to work with each other. So when you're creating a neighbourhood, you really want to create a space where 1 or 2, maybe 3 complementary and related teams that need to work together and want to work together are put together. And that's the ideal arrangement. You don't want 30, 40, 50 work desks in one area. The neighborhoods are therefore not too large. You can create a sub-community within your overall department, within your overall community. Creating a sense of belonging in the workspace is made much easier with neighborhoods. That's principle number 2. Principle number 3 is co-locating related meeting rooms and quiet rooms with those neighborhoods. So yes, you have your bookable meeting rooms that might be 4 persons, 8 persons, 20 persons, so larger rooms near the main entry. But we've all been there. We've walked from our desk to check out if the meeting room is in use, and behold, it is. And you have to go back to your desk and you have to figure out something else. Well, it's good to have non-bookable meeting rooms and quiet rooms near your neighborhoods, visually connected, so staff at their work desk can quickly check if a space is in use or not without having to go away from their desk, check if it is. And that helps with their flexibility throughout the workday. It helps with their productivity as well. So if a staff member needs to make a quick phone call, or a small group suddenly needs to join together for a video conference, maybe there's a staff member who's overseas or they're sick at home and they need to discuss, locating those quiet rooms and smaller meeting rooms within the neighborhoods aids in that workday flow. So that's principle number 3, co-locating quiet rooms and smaller meeting rooms with your neighborhoods. Principle number 4, use-specific or activity-based rooms and areas. Activity-based rooms and areas. We know that not everyone sits at a laptop, particularly in the library. They have a variety of other activities as well to engage in. There's books to be digitized and processed. There's campaigns and posters and banners to be sorted. Much of the time, those can be noisy activities. So where the activity is noisy or incompatible with your focused areas, it really ought to be in a separate room, visually connected but acoustically separated. And last but not least, this one is dear to my heart. Principle number 5, visual openness and connection. As much as possible, we've provided as much glazing, as you can see on the screen, glass, between rooms for transparency and openness. This allows for borrowing of natural light between rooms, particularly those that are internalized. It opens up vistas for the staff so you don't feel like you're in a shoebox that's tightly packed. It addresses work, health and safety matters, and it creates a sense of connection for staff at all times. One aspect I just wanted to touch on before I go is budget constraints. With inflationary pressures over the past few years, the budgets available don't go as far as they used to. And I've seen that as an architect in a myriad of different circumstances and for a wide range of clients. So even if your budget is limited, or perhaps your scope is limited due to authority constraints, I just want to touch on a couple of easy wins that you might consider. The first easy win is lighting. Natural light is always the winner whenever possible. I understand, however, natural light is not always available. In the case of UNSW Library, the floor that staff are locating onto used to be for books, so there aren't many windows. So artificial lighting really comes into play. And it's a matter of course. I think we're all used to the standard grid lighting that you see in office spaces with that cool white troffer-style rectangular lighting that was standardized by fluorescent tube lighting in years past. It's not inspiring, it's not comforting. It's designed to be uniform and meets the code requirements. So careful and strategic lighting selection to create moments. Perhaps it's illuminating a corner of a room that looks a bit dark, or maybe it's some joinery. Maybe it's task lighting. Perhaps it's in the meeting room, a pendant light above a meeting table, or maybe it's in breakout spaces. Targeted and strategic lighting can do wonders to improve the feel. Now, cool white lighting can feel clinical, so if you are looking for smaller interventions like pendant lights, task lights, they're ideally warm white or warmer in color to create a sense of warmth in the space. Easy win number 2, target what happens at eye level. Maybe you don't have the budget to replace all your workstations or knock down walls or replace the carpets and the ceilings with expensive new finishes. So in those instances, maybe the workstations can be cleaned and they're in reasonable condition. But perhaps where you could refresh things is at eye level, so the dividing screens between your workstations, or perhaps it's blank walls that could use an artwork, or even acoustic panels. All that can do much to refresh the aesthetics of a space when you're seated and when you're walking around. But they also address the acoustic comfort and privacy and ability to focus, particularly acoustic screens between workstations, acoustic finishes on the walls. So those are a couple of easy wins I just wanted to touch on. To wrap up, engaging in the design and consultation process with your designer and your team is an exciting undertaking. There's so many opportunities to consider the well-being and ownership of your staff while adapting to change and new ways of working. And I'm hoping that this project at UNSW Sydney Library has provided you with a little insight, some ideas that you might be able to take away. And with that, thank you for having me, and I'll pass back to Martin.